Hi everyone, welcome back to another Graphic 45 brand ambassador project and tutorial. Now when I first started thinking about my next one, I wanted to have a look at an accordion album because I love making them, but I wanted to do something and I had it in my head about having it so that when you open it, each one of these had a pocket to fit one of the regular tags. And I thought about putting pockets on and everything, but it just created so much bulk that it wasn't folding. So I've come up with a new little system or new page cutout and scoring, which means that each of the pages actually folds and creates a top loading pocket. And the great thing is with this is you can make it and extend it to have extra pages and go as far as you want. So I used the Alice's Tea Party with the regular tags to make that one. But then I thought, how fun. Oh, I forgot to show. It actually opens the other way as well. So that's why it's the accordion. So we've got both sides. And that side. So on this side, I kept the pattern matching. And on the back, I went for a zigzag. So you can do either way. But then I thought, how fun would it be to maybe use the larger tags? So it was exactly the same dimensions of scoring because the tags are the same width. But it was a lot more fun because it was a much bigger project. So I had a go. And this is my version in Come One, Come All. And as you can see, it's got the large tags. And they slide back in. So it opens up like a book. And I've gone for the diagonals here. So when you untie the side, you get that diagonal feel. But then on the back, you get even more spaces. And each of them, as you can see, has a pocket, so you can put even more items in. So my assignment for this month was to feature a collection. And as I said, these can be extended. So currently, they hold 4 tags. So what I thought, if I added more, I'd have 6. Tags are double-sided, which makes 12. So why not make a 12 Days of Christmas version using Letters to Santa? Now, because I'm featuring things from the collection, I've got the patterns and solids, I've got the 12 by 12, and I've got the 8 by 8. So I'm going to be dipping into all 3. Now, it doesn't mean if you haven't got all 3, you can't do this project. I'm just going to be showing you elements from everything. Also, going to be using the stamp set. So the stamp set, I'll be showing you how, if you haven't got all 3, you can use plain paper and extend your collection. I've also, just for ease and no more fussy cutting, some ephemera assortment as well. So I might add some of them in as well. So as I said, it's to feature a collection, which is why I've got everything to hand. So I'm going to put these aside. I'm going to grab my trimmer, my scoring tool and scoreboard, and my cardstock. And I'll be right back to start the tutorial. So I have my cardstock ready. I'm just using 220 GSM. This is A4 cardstock. If you're in America and you've got letter size, I'll show you how you can do with that as well. And it's actually a bit easier if you've got letter size than if you've got the A4. But I'm going to show you how to maximize your cardstock without having to cut into 12 by 12. Now, my tags, I like to have this round bit sticking out of the top, like so. So I measured from the top to the bottom, and my tags were 8 inches tall with that straight part there, which meant I wanted to make my album pages inside 8 inches tall as well. So I've got my trimmer, and the first thing we're going to do is cut the front and back page. Now, this accordion album has 3 styles of pages, so I'm going to call them A, B, and C. So the first ones are going to be A. So we're going to need 2 of them. They're the ones that stick to your front and back cover. So no matter how long you want your accordion to go, you'll only ever need 2 of these. And I'm going to cut these at 9. So I'm cutting both at the same time. 9 by 8. So I'm cutting off that 1/4 of an inch off my A4. So there's my A's. Then I'm going to move on to B, and I will need 2 of them. So this is making my bare minimum accordion album, and I'll show you and I'll explain how you can extend it afterwards. So for B, we're going to keep my 8.5 if you're using letter, or 8.25 if you're using A4. I'm putting the long edge on the top, and I'm cutting at 9.5. And again, I've got 2 of these. I'm cutting them at the same time. So later on, I am going to be scoring at 8 inches. So I'm only going to have a narrow little piece to tape on the bottom of mine. But as I said, in America, you'll have 8.5 inches. You'll have just a 1/2 inch on the bottom, and it'll make it so much easier for you. So those are B, and I've got 2 of them. And then my center piece is going to be 9.5. And I'm only cutting 1 of these by 8. So that's my C. So this is going to make a pocket one. So 4 tags. As I said, I'm going to do a 12 Days of Christmas version. So what I'm going to do is, you would cut an extra B and an extra C. If you wanted to make it further and you wanted 10 tags, you just keep, every time you want to add a tag, you just cut an extra B and C. Okay, let me try to keep these in order because they do look similar. Right, let's grab my scoreboard. So I'm going to start with my A's. Now my A's are the ones which attach to my greyboard covers, and I'm going to score these at 4 1/8. And then I need a little bit of a gusset. You can see the gussets there, and it's just a 1/4 of an inch gusset. So I'm just going to skip 2 channels to 4 3/8. And at the end, I need a little 1/2 inch to glue onto my second page. And I'm going to do exactly the same, even though it's the opposite direction I need it. 4 1/8, 4 3/8, and 8.5. And what I'll do, I'll just turn it around. So that is my left page, that's my right page. So that's my A's done. So now moving on to my 2 B's. Now these are the ones which might be a bit different if you're in America, because yours will be 8.5, which just means you've got more room to put your tape. So for us using A4, we're going to have a line of 8. So we're just going to have this narrow bit, which just means I've got to cut my tape a little bit, that's all. But it just saved having to cut into 12 by 12 cardstock. So now I've got my 9.5 across the top. I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. Then at 4 5/8, so 4 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just one after the half. And then 4 and 7/8. So this 5. So just back 1. And at 9. So that's one B done. So again, I've got my second one. So I've scored 8 inches to get the height of my page. So half, 4 and 5/8, 4 and 7/8, and 9. And then finally, my C is already cut at 8 inches tall, so I don't need to cut anything. Only the B's need that. So this time I'm going to do it half, 4 1/8. Sorry, 4 and 5/8. 4 and 5/8. So ignore that one. 4 and 7/8. These are the same measurements as what we did last time. 9. So 4 and 5/8. So ignore that one. I've got to remember that when I come to scoring. Okay. So my A's. What's going to happen now is these 1/2 inch tabs are going to be on the left and right, are going to actually attach to the other pages and create pockets. So I think I've come up with quite a clever little system. So this large piece, that's onto my cover. So my gusset is going to be on the right hand side. So I'm just going to give them a gentle score. It doesn't have to be harsh, because it's not to be folded flat. And then this bit, the 1/2 inch comes backwards. So I've created sort of that shape. But this one, I do want to be harsh, because the crisper that crease, the flatter my pocket's going to be. So same with this one. And then the gusset ones, just a gentle burnish. So I've got this flat piece which goes onto that, and then this one goes onto the back like that. It'll all start making sense. So what's going to happen is these two are starting to create a pocket there. B's are slightly different because we're going to have to do some taping and cutting with this one. So let's fold these back first. So the 2 1/2 inches, they're the ones we really want to burnish down. The gusset in the middle, just a gentle burnish. And then the 1/2 inch can be folded backwards. So what will happen now is when I bring this page in, these two stick on like that and create that pocket. So I want then the front of this to have some tape so that we don't have things falling out of our pockets. So I'm going to do, cut a piece at length, and I'm going to cut in half. This is where letter size cardstock is really going to help, because you don't need to do this bit. You'll just be able to put your 1/2 inch straight on. So I'm just going to put it inside a bit. And now I'm going to just cut at an angle towards that cross and cut. Then in this little bit here, I need to cut out that square. So I'm going to make it a sort of a flat-topped pyramid. So I've cut 2 diagonal cuts and then cut out that square. So I've cut that shape out. And finally, on the end, cut. So that's one bee prepared. And I keep burnishing these because I do want them flat. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So let's do the taping first this time. And tape there. And tape there. Actually, do you know, while I'm here, I might as well save some time for later and put the tape, because I will be doing that. So cut off the corners. So I cut to the square, across, and cut to the cross, change the angle, and cut off. That just means that when these fold, they won't meet. And cut out that square. So fold these two back. Fold these two. Oh, I haven't done that on the other one. Did I do that? No. Let's do this one as well. This one, and then just gently burnish the gusset. So I think the bees are probably the most complicated, and as you can see, it's not really that bad. So I've got 2 A's and 2 B's. And now, this is the one I've got to be careful with. Let's add the tape while I'm here. It's those 2 center ones, ignoring that mistake one I did. Which by the time you've added your paper, you won't even notice. And then fold the other 2 back. So you've created sort of a M shape with your C. Yeah, so the more you burnish, the harder you press here, the flatter your pockets will be. So if you've ever had an accordion which has, rather than flat pockets, bows out like a mouth shape, that's probably why, because you haven't made these flat enough so they're pushing out on each other, creating that bow. Okay, A's, B's, C. And as I said, if you want to extend, which I have done in my, I'm going to in my 12 Days of Christmas one, have an extra B and C. So let's start with A. So if you imagine you've got your grey board, this flat bit with no tab sticks onto it. So this then, I haven't got the tape on, isn't it? Is then my flap, and I'm going to bring a B in. Now to create a pocket, of course, I need two sides. So that's where this flap, let's take this one up. So it's this flap which completes the pocket, if that makes sense. And of course everything would slide out. So it's this bottom bit which stops things from sliding out. So now I've got two sides there. There's my B. My C has also got flaps. So that'll go like that. So I've got A, B, C. As soon as you get to C, you start working down again. So a B. So I don't want it that way because my two flaps. So I just turn it that way so that that flap sticks to that bit. So A, B, C, B, and then finally an A will complete my album. So hope that makes sense. A, B, C, B, A. If you wanted to extend it, you'd still have your A, B, C, B. You'd put another C here. Let's bring one in that way. And another B, finishing off with your A. So you go A, B, C, B, C, B, A. Sounds more complicated than it is. And now I've just changed the whole order, A and B. So let's start with A and B. So it's, yeah, so that's going to go on that way. So I've got a tab there. But I'm going to start off with the bottom. So let's just take that off. And I'm going to fold back my tab and line it up with that score line on my gusset and just press it down. So I've joined them like so. What I did find, when you put your tag in, because it's so far down, what can happen is it can stop there, which is 1/4 inch away from the bottom. For me, it would be 1/2 inch if you're using your American or letter size paper. So what I want to do is do something which will prevent that. So take some tape, can be any type of tape. I've just got some black construction tape here and I tape over it. And what that's going to do is create sort of a little ramp for it. So when it comes down, it slides over. So otherwise your tag would be sticking out a bit too much on the top. So that's why I have that tape there. So now I can expose some tape here and expose some tape here and bring the two corners up and align. We'll just fold it. Here we go. I got something in the way. Ah, that's just the tape folding up. So there's that one. And I think it's just caught. There we go. And that's that one. So now I've got my A here and my B here and my flap here and a little flap on the bottom, ready for my C. Now C is the one with two wing flaps, that one. There's A. So that tab needs to go there because I've got a tab on this side already. So again, I'm going to stick the bottom on first. Line it up. we go. And open it up and take some tape. As I said, it can be any tape. Oh, make sure that's not on top. And then expose some tape so I can flip it up. Do what I think the bulk is. I forgot to trim off the corners. There we go. That felt much better. And now I can take off the protective tape. So B and C have come together to do that. So now I've got my C, which has got a tab there, so I'm going to grab a B. And which way am I going? That way. Just bring it that way, easier. Now let's cut off those corners on the bottom, just to get rid of that bulk. So again, I'm going to attach the bottom first. Oh, that's the wrong one. This is the one I want. Just gonna, I'm lining up with a gusset and holding, taping over. Exposing some of the tape on both the sides and lifting up. So if you had more pages, you would now add another C and another B here. This would be the point to do it before you put on your last piece. So my last piece is going to go there. I haven't put tape on it yet. It's going to go that way. So I'm just going to trim off the bottom corner. So let me flip my album this way. And again, I'm going to stick it up the bottom one. So my flap is in there, just lining it up with that score line. Put some tape on. And expose that bit. And just make sure everything's in line. There we go. And that is how you create your accordion. And this is what it looks like if you've added an extra B and C. So you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tag pockets here. But here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the basic album construction done. Then you just need your cover. So you're going to cut 2 pieces of grey board at 8 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I've already covered one. You can see it's just a little bit larger than your pages. So in a UK, if you're using your A4 grey board, it's already 8.25. So that's it. I'm really conscious about making the most out of our papers and our cardstock and all our products. And I've used the patterns and solids for this one. So I've chosen a nice red. And again, I've been frugal with my paper because I've cut it at 6 inches by 10 inches. So I've managed to get both pieces out of the same piece of 12 by 12, and I've still got that long strip from the top for something else. So I'm going to put some tape onto my grey board. Now, if you saw my first brand ambassador project, my soft spine with Let It Be, this is the same technique as I did there. I'm just going to try and go a little bit faster this time. So if you want to see this bit in slower or in a bit less of a rush, head to the Let It Be soft spine project and you'll see me do this a little bit slower. So I'm not being stingy with the tape. I want as much of it covered as I can, but just to make sure we've got a lot of contact, I'm just taking a bit of glue all around, and I'm going to flip it over. And because it's plain, I'm not too worried about lining it up straight, especially with those diagonals sending my eyes a bit funny with straight lines. Now, what I do need to do now is just bring in some to protect my table. So I've just got my glass mat, and I've got a corner tool from Cool Cats. So you want to cut off the corners, but not to the grey board. You want to leave a little space. So this little metal tool is brilliant because I can just cut straight away without having to measure or worry about anything. Make sure I put my knife back on. And what I do then is I take a little ball tool and I just rub it or trace around my grey board. So that means now when I fold, I should get a nice straight line. I'm going to take my tape and run some around the edge of my grey board. And along the edge of my tape, of my paper. So when I flip it over, because I used my metal edge, I got this perfect 45-degree angle. So then when I bring my tape, it'll fit right into that angle without wasting any tape. And the last one. Okay, let's just smooth it out. So let's start with the short sides. So I'm going to expose the tape and just take off and fold back these two pieces. I do take some glue and I run it down the edge of my grey board. So that means that the paper then, when I squeeze it over, it's squashing that glue onto the edge of my grey board. And then these two bits are a bit longer because we didn't cut to the grey board. So we just need to press those down. That just means that when we come to fold these in, you won't have any grey board exposed. I can press them down and repeat this side. Take off the two, fold these back, add some glue, and fold over. We'll just press into those bits and now we can do exactly the same. Now this time we have got that excess paper in the corner there, so we want to make sure we've got some glue on top of that and on top. So you can do it that way if you find it hard to flip over. So a bit on the overlap, down there, and a bit on top. So because I did that score line, I can just use my tool to bring it up. And I can just stretch it over that way. And that is your grey board covered. 1 and 2. On this one, I've just taken some distress ink around the edge, so I'll do the same. And at this point, you decide then as well, do you want to add some ribbon to tie it? On the Alice one, I didn't. It's just an accordion. On Come One, Come All, I did. So that's going to be the back. So I'm just going to just eyeball it. So let's just do some tape. And then do the same here. There we go. Just keep the ribbon out of the way. And now, this is the one now that I did beforehand, which has got the pages. So what you need to make sure now is that your pockets are on the top. The single piece here then, with the hinge on the left, that's your front. And then that's the back, obviously. So I've marked them front and back. And we're just going to glue them, and you will have a little bit of red border from the paper, so you just need to be a little bit gentle with it. And some glue. And keeping in mind, it's that score line that you want to center around. So I'm going to get a nice even coverage. And then I'm going to do the same for the back. And some glue, getting it nice and close to the edge, and making sure I've got good coverage. And again, I'm lining up the left, right and bottom, and this left hand score then will come just inside the red. And then we're going to fold it up. I'm going to tie it up. And then that is the basis of your large tag album. And I am going to make a second video for you. And in the second video, I'm going to show you how you can decorate it. So I will show you how to add the pockets and pockets here as well. We'll go through decorating the tags and also some paper saving ideas as well, so that you're not using all your paper if you haven't got the 8x8, the 12x12 and the pattern solids like I've been lucky enough to play with. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing the start of the Letters to Santa 12 Days of Christmas large tag accordion. So as I say, this is the 4 version, this is the 6 version, so you can see it is a little bit wider. And just to tease you why it's called the 12, in the next video we'll have a look at how to make some tags. So thank you for watching, and please, if you have enjoyed, please leave me a comment in the comment section below. I do like to read, I try to reply to them all as well, and give me the thumbs up if you've enjoyed it too. So thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in part 2.